Yeah.
I wonder what aliens fight about, because it's probably different than what humans fight about, right?
No, it's all the same.
Oh, it's the same?
Oh, yeah. Territory, resources.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But what do they need as an alien?
Yeah, it's just all the same things, but at a next level. Like, think about our technology. So say, for example, we have all these quantum computers now. We have all these, like, AI systems. Great. But in order to have these supercomputers, what do we need? We need huge, massive inputs of electricity, right? So where do we find that? Are we farming for it, or do we have solar farms? Like what? So it's the same thing over there. It's like they have technology, they need resources, they're expanding their colonies, and it's all of that. Now, I will say that all of the species or civilizations that are a part of, say, a federation or the Galactic Federation, they're like, let's play nice, right? Like globalization. I'll share with you, you share with me, we'll exchange resources, we're all copacetic. The beings who are on sort of more of the service to self end of things, they're like, no, I'm just going to take what I want.
Got it.
Right? And then they override the laws of the universe. And then that's where the Galactic Federation steps in and says, you're overriding these laws. And so we're going to basically, there's going to be consequences. And we're the ones who need to assign those consequences.
Reminds me of Russia and NATO. So it is very similar to
It's
people.
Unfortunately similar, yes.
Wow. That is crazy. So the ones that abducted you were not part of the Federation?
No, they definitely were not. Yeah.
Wow. So they targeted you.
Yeah, they were actually a part of the government organizations.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that after you remote viewed somewhere and then
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was like, it just happened to be that I was at, the wrong place at the wrong time, essentially. And then where I was located was about 5 miles away from a military base. So they were just around, and the way that it was described to me was they were wondering why, as a human, I had such a high frequency. So they pretty much took me for curiosity, and then they chipped me to track me. Yeah, to see what I was doing that was so different from the other humans.
Dang, so there's a chip in you right now?
So the chip was removed,
Okay.
luckily, yeah. So crazy story, but about a month after I was abducted, so they essentially put something in my ear, and when I was unparalyzed again, because I couldn't move, in the abduction, but I could open my eyes. So I was aware, I could see everything. I just couldn't talk.
It's like sleep
or move.
paralysis.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so they put something in my ear. And when I woke up, there was blood coming out of my ear, which was a sort of a physical validation of that happening. About a month later, I felt them watching me. Like I felt them just in my everyday. It was really bizarre. And a month later, I ended up meeting a medical medium. I was so skeptical. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, you can see cancer in body. Like, sure. And so I didn't tell her anything. I'm like, look, something's going on. Can you just scan my body or do your thing?
Yeah.
And she did. And she's like, oh, you got abducted. You have a chip in your right ear. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
And she's like, yeah, they're tracking you because they were curious about who you were and why your frequency was so different than other humans. She's like, they also branded your aura, which is weird, and I didn't know that they could do that. And so she's like, I'm going to go ahead and dislodge this chip. And she said, it's got its own consciousness or intelligence to it, but it's made up of organic material. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so you're going to pull it out? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, no, I'm just going to remove the energetic connection. And she's like, it'll most likely just drain from your ear. So I'm expecting this thing to pop out or whatever. And I honestly didn't really believe her, even though she picked up on what happened. And for probably 6 months after that session, my right ear was draining this really gross liquid.
Dang.
Yeah. So I was expecting this thing to pop out, but it almost like melted in my ear. And I've actually had doctors check my ear out, and they're like, wow, you have a lot of, what do they call it, scar tissue in your right ear, which is basically signs of trauma, which my left ear doesn't have, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, it's definitely very fascinating.
That
That's
is super fascinating.
pretty much the only time I've experienced a chip like that, an implant.
Yeah, there's people that want to chip up humans, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Which is scary.
Yeah,
I'm scared of the Neuralink.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get
I
that one.
agree. Yeah, no.
I feel like
I'll
they
skip
could,
that one too.
Yeah, they could hack into that or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been exploring energy healing too.
Cool.
I got some Reiki done last week.
And?
I was skeptical, but it worked.
Wow.
My body hurt after, and he didn't lay a single hand on me.
Yeah.
But I had pain in my arm and my shoulder and my feet. I was like, there's something to this.
Yep, there is. There is. You know, I'm a huge believer in quantum mechanics, right? And quantum physics. And I believe that everything that I can do and everything I experience can be proven by quantum mechanics. And as a clairvoyant, what I can do is I can tap into the quantum layers of this reality. So, you know, there's like Schrodinger's cat and the double slit experiment and wave particle duality. Now, these are just quote unquote theories, but I've been able to tap in and to see that and to prove that. So
Whoa.
I think that at a certain point, science is going to catch up with consciousness, and it's going to end up being all the same thing at the end of the day. So, and I think that we're going to see that very clearly in our lifetime as well, is
Really?
that quantum mechanics is going to prove consciousness and spirituality. And in a lot of ways, it already has. People just aren't talking about it because the second you say quantum mechanics, they're like, yep, I'm checked out.
It's too advanced.
And I get that. Yeah, I get that for sure. So I try and explain those concepts in a super relatable way so that people can identify with it and understand that this is not woo-woo, this is not spiritual, this is scientific.
That'd be great to see, because right now there is that divide with science and spirituality, right?
Yep. Yep, and quantum mechanics is the unification of that.
So do you get these visions or feelings? How does that clairvoyance work?
Yeah, so clairvoyance in particular is like sight, right? So I can close my physical eyes, open up my third eye, and then tap into all of the dimensional layers, right? So just like I remote view this planet and can see things in military bases, I can also remote view off planet.
Whoa.
And go to different spaceships or different planets, or just tap into the sort of quantum world of this reality, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. What other planets caught your interest?
So mostly I go visit different motherships. So that's sort of my vibe. I don't usually go to a lot of planets. I have been to planets. I also do like past life regression or Akashic records. And for me, that's also remote viewing, right? Past life regression is you're just remote viewing a different time and space. And so I've remote viewed a lot of lifetimes off planet, not just my own lifetimes off planet, but other people's lifetimes off planet, which is really interesting. But a lot of planets are very similar to our own. And even the movie Avatar, you know, a lot of planets that aren't as developed look like that. You know, they are very sort of earthy and grounded, and they've got their own elements and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, when I see these movies, I'm like, someone must have remote viewed to get those ideas or something.
Someone's tuning into something for sure.
Yeah, like Star Trek and all that stuff. Like, how do you just come up with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Even Harry Potter's like crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
that's so cool though. Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.